Hello everyone. It's not very often you come across a topic where there's two opposing sides, especially in legal matters, where you can see virtues and folly in both sides of the argument. I made the video Giggle v Grifter a few days ago, where Sal Grover, creator of the Giggle for Girls app, lost her appeal in the federal court against female wannabe Roxanne Tickle. Just before I get going on this one, a quick thanks to a couple of supporters for this week. Elizabeth Monaro, who's supported the channel for a long time, Paul Packer, who joined Elizabeth in signing on for auto payments, in other words, a little bit each month, and Anthony Madison. Thanks guys for your support of my demonetised channel. If you're new here, please hit subscribe, it only takes a second. I also have some merchandise if any of you out there would like to support a highly fashionable Gary Orsum t-shirt. There's some based on video themes like History's Most Evil Swimsuit Models and the Manopoly shirt, some non-video themed ones like So Far Right, Right So Far, and Make Australia Awesome Again, available only in MAGA Red of course, or even ones with the simple channel logo in a couple of styles. Okay, so I may not even be playing any clips for this one, just speaking as a follow-up to the Giggle v Grifter video. So in the absence of referencing any actual footage, I better run this mock ad, which I can assure you I don't make any ad revenue from. If anything, I might even get another cease and desist letter, like the one I got from Our Watch a few years back.
So if they're camping this weekend, I said we'd sort the drinks. $20 a head's doable, right? Just Gavin Bianca, drink Pinot, Samira
She's
says
fucking done it again. Tells her friends I'm going to pay for everything and doesn't even fucking console me. And because I'm such a cuck and it's the only way I could get any pussy, I just ended up saying...
It's doable.
Great.
And that price? You could probably get something for yourself.
That's what I'm thinking.
For everyday low prices, nobody beats Dan Murphy's.
Welcome back. First small point. A couple of viewers left comments along the lines of, the court decided he was a woman, what the fuck? Just to clarify, I don't think that's what the court did. I get where you're coming from though, but I would imagine that because of Australia's dumb as fuck policies on trans issues, the idea that that bloke is a woman was already the starting point for the court. What was being determined here was this grifter being discriminated against? The answer to that, if you're starting from the place where he's recognised as a woman, is yes, he was discriminated against. It's only if he's not recognised as a woman that Grover's case would have in all likelihood succeeded. The main thing I'm seeking to address in this video though, or perhaps not so much address but acknowledge, are the number of comments that pointed out that this was a case of feminism coming back to bite itself on the arse, which it so often does. These comments even went as far as to support the trans woman bloke for being the one to bite feminism on its own arse. I completely agree with these comments as well. I fully get their point, and as I alluded to at the start, I probably have about the same level of support for that position as I do the that man isn't a woman position. And that's what I mean by the unusual nature of the ideological positions in conflict here. Obviously, in my initial vid, I focused on the reality of biological sex position. I was thinking about the feminism drowning in its own shit aspect whilst making the vid, but I didn't include my thoughts on that. Maybe I should have. I guess though, if I covered every aspect of everything in the one video, I'd run out of topics to make videos about pretty quickly, wouldn't I? I'm just so reminded of the my enemy's enemy is not my friend paradox. Two of the best examples of that is that in feminism's hatred of straight white men and their neo-Marxist goal of destroying Western capitalism and Christian society, whether they're knowing participants in that push, as in the commies of academia and the press, or merely useful idiots to the cause, as would be most feminists, they've thrown their support behind Islam, not realising that Islam is probably the greatest threat to their freedom that they're ever likely to face. And then their support for supposed trans rights, which is where this Giggle v Tickle story is yet another example of their ideology coming back to haunt them. I was watching an interview recently with Gillian Michaels interviewing Andrew Wilson, and he was making the argument that it was a mistake to give women the vote, but further, that it was a mistake to give the masses in general suffrage, as 90% of people actually know fuck all about politics in any meaningful sense anyway. That sounds outrageous in this day and age when you first hear it, but when you really think about it, it's probably true. It's possibly something like the concept of deciding that, in all fairness, the passengers, the flight crew, the baggage handlers, refuelers, and the hairdressing salon that's near the airport should all get a say in how the plane should be flown, not just the pilot. The best example of that springs to my mind is the 18th Amendment, Prohibition. It's the only amendment I can think of that was almost solely pushed for by women, predominantly the Women's Christian Temperance Movement, or Women's Christian Temperance Union, however you'd prefer to term it. Sure, some can argue it was predominantly Wheeler and the Anti-Saloon League, but let's be real, that was mostly made up of members of the WCTU. It's also the only US constitutional amendment to ever be repealed. Why? Because it turned out to be just another female nirvana fallacy. You can argue that it gave birth to the mafia and a whole bunch of other savoury outcomes. Ironically, whilst it was pushed for largely by the naggings of women, it was also repealed largely by the naggings of women. I forget her name now, but she was some influential socialite come politician's wife who got fed up with the hypocrisy of dry politicians and advocates turning up at her well-to-do parties and expecting to be given alcoholic drinks from behind the rotating bookcase secret stash. Yes, she actually had one of those. Now let's come to another classic feminist hypocrisy, the whole demand for women-only spaces argument. Yeah, fine, I don't actually disagree with that, but until you get the fuck out of men's sheds and the Boy Scouts can go back to being just the Boy Scouts, then I suppose you're just going to have to go fuck yourself. Finally, just as I was about to hit process on this video, a viewer made me aware of some guy who made a response to Gary Orsum video, calling me out for not recognising Sal Grover as the anti-male feminist that she most likely is. For this, I earned the title of Lizard Brain. Yeah, whatever, lizard cock. If you knew a single thing about my history, you'd know I've probably made more anti-feminist and anti-Marxism videos than you've had hot meals. I watched the first couple of minutes or so I have no idea what he criticised me for beyond that. To be honest, I don't care. And I'm only bothering to even mention him just to pad out this video a little bit. Anyway, fuckhead, I'm well aware that she's my ideological enemy. Maybe if you're going to rip me a new one, you should try researching me a little and not get all triggered and base your whole reckoning of me from one video out of 1,000 I've created over the past 11 years or so. That perhaps brings me to a final plug of shameless self-promotion. Because of my checkered history with YouTube, you might want to follow me on Rumble, where pretty much every video I've ever made is on there. And on that note, thanks for watching, everyone.